This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, ho there. It's Jeff Carter. I'm going to welcome you to another sports catastrophe on this day. And on this day, 1995, baseball fans will say hallelujah to this. The MLB strike officially ends. Yes, the MLB strike, one of the most prudent strikes of all time. In fact, I believe it's the longest strike in any of the four major sports by days, I think. I would probably think that all that. Well, anyway, the 94-95 baseball strike started August 12th and ended April 2nd. The longest stoppage in MLB history and the longest work stoppage in Major League Sports at that time. But the 2005 NHL lockout was 310 days. So that beat that. So lots of games were canceled. The 94-95 seasons were not played to a complete 162 games. Many teams played 113 games in 94. MLB was the first pro sports league to lose an entire postseason due to labor struggles. Each team played 144 games in 95. So basically, it was the expiration of the MLB CBA, or collective bargaining agreement, December 31st, 1993. But the team owners proposed a salary cap to be included in the next CBA. The owners wanted revenue sharing and a salary cap. But the players would not do it because they figured that, the owners were colluding against them and all that. And some people said that because the owners had to pay a combined $300 million in the collusion thing in the 1980s to the players. Basically, they were trying to reach things. However, there was a agreement reached to end strike via injunction on April 2nd, 1995. No salary cap. The World Series got canceled. The expanded postseason that they were planning on doing for 94 was made in 95. The owners wanted to begin the 95 season with replacement players January 13th, 1995. But that would be an issue, especially in Canada, especially in Toronto, because the Ontario labor laws said that replacements couldn't be in, like scab rules for Ontario places. So basically, the Blue Jays would have had to play somewhere else with their replacement players. The teams would have 144 games per thing. Players were bound by the terms of the expired agreement until a new CBA was reached. All that. So anyway, there was a worsening financial situation in baseball. The owners wanted to do the salary cap because they said that small market clubs could fall by the wayside unless teams agreed to share revenues and all that. But the Players Association really wasn't too happy with it, saying that basically they were sour over losing money in the collusion thing. The owners said that their proposal could help raise salaries from $1.2 million in 94 to $2.6 million by 2K1. But the players weren't doing that and all that. They struck on August the 12th. They tried mediating August 31st, but nothing. Unfortunately, September 14th, Bud Selig called off the rest of the season and the World Series. Basically said that the strike has torn an irreparable hole in the game's fabric. Basically, lots of revenue was out. There were a lot of issues and all that. Frank Thomas almost had a career run. Tony Gwynn almost got to 400. He was aiming for Ted Williams' magical 400 mark in 1941. And he was only batting .394. It was close. Matt Williams was trying to beat Roger Maris's home run record. All that. And he was on pace to match it. Ken Griffey Jr. basically did good. And he summed it up perfect with saying, "We picked a bad season to have a good year." Yeah. And Major League Baseball lost some players who decided to go to Japan for 1995, including Julio Franco, who would last 4 years in Japan, and then he comes back to the major leagues. All that. Jeff Bagwell was given the MVP thing. was given the NL MVP, but he had a hand injury August 10th. This lucky break actually meant that Jeff Bagwell would be MVP, and basically, if he missed the remainder of the year, he might not have won the MVP. One of the biggest absurdities was the Twins trading Dave Winfield to Cleveland for a player to be named later. But the strike led the season being canceled, so Cleveland didn't know anything. The Twins were listed as having sold Winfield to the Indians, but it was actually much different. Instead of the Indians buying the contract outright, team management went out for a meal with Twins management, and the Indians paid the tab. Basically meaning that Winfield was paid for dinner, was traded for dinner. But one of the biggest storylines, the second biggest storyline, was the New York Yankees. They were actually coming along. After their 81 World Series appearance, they basically went downhill quickly. But basically, they rebuilt themselves. They had the best mark in the American League in 1994 and a 6.5 game lead over the Orioles in the AL East. And it cost Don Mattingly a chance to finally make the playoffs after 13 years in the majors. The Yankees, said that basically it was not happy. However, it was a happy ending in 95 when Mattingly and his Yankees did make the playoffs, but sadly shrugged a 2-0 series lead on the Seattle Mariners, who refused to lose. But arguably the biggest thing out of the 94 strike, and call it bias if you want, because I'm from Canada, but the Montreal Expos were screwed. They were ruined. They were the best team in baseball. They were 6 games up on the Atlanta Braves, the perennial superstars of the NL. They had a great young talent and all that. And they thought the Expos could have won the World Series and for the 3rd straight year bring the trophy north of the border, as the Blue Jays were the defending back-to-back champions. So there were a lot of problems and all that. They said the replacement players, it caused trouble for 2 teams. Replacement players caused for 2 teams. The Blue Jays, because of the labor code amendments passed by the provincial government. And rumors were that Dunedin was going to get the games, the Major League games, because of what happened. And the Orioles were owned by a union lawyer, said they wouldn't use replacement players. The use of replacement players, March 20th, would make the season reduced to 144 games. But the TV deal really collapsed. CBS lost the rights to baseball from ABC and NBC after the 93 season. Production of nationally televised games was taken over by MLB, which sold the games as brokered programming to ABC and NBC, part of the baseball network. Basically, they would share some games in prime time, and the 2 networks would alternate coverage of the All-Star Game and World Series and split the league and divisional championship series between them. However, the strike meant ABC lost 2 weeks of coverage and with the World Series, and NBC losing their regular season games. It cost them $595 million in ad revenue. And this is 1994. ABC and NBC would decide after 95 not to pursue baseball nationally. So Fox took over in 96. NBC would actually do postseason from 96 to 2000. So yeah, so Fox was around 96. So basically, thanks to Sonia Sotomayor, who was a U.S. District Court judge for the Southern District in New York, they said that there must be a season and all that. But the 95 season wouldn't be that big and all that. Fans were irate at players and owners, and they had every damn right to be. Attendance plummeted, TV ratings plummeted. Basically, it was huge. Average attendance went down from 31,000 to 25,000 across the league, which was like 20%. There were a lot of fans and all that. Yeah. There were a lot of problems and all that. So yeah. Strange as it sounds. They said replacement players from the 95 spring training were allowed to play on postseason teams. These players were not allowed to have their names or likenesses on any merchandise. Couldn't be any video games and all that. The affected players were Shane Spencer, Damian Miller, Brandon Donnelly, Kevin Millar, and Jimmy Walker. So basically, their names and likenesses would be changed on several things. I thought I remember reading Damian Miller and Shane Spencer's names being in Triple Play 2001, which I'm playing right now. But I guess not. So yeah, you have to replace their names and all that. Long-term impact, Montreal was suffered the worst of all. Like, because of the strike ruining revenues, they had to lower payroll and sell off their 4 highest paid stars, Grissom, Hill, Walker, and Wetland, and spend less than a week to spring training. So basically, Grissom went to Atlanta. Ken Hill went to, I can't remember. I think he went back to St. Louis. He went to Cleveland, I think. Yeah, I think Ken Hill went to Cleveland. Larry Walker went to Colorado, and John Wetland went to the Yankees. So yeah, that was huge and all that. The Expos could not recover. And, of course, the rest of SSA is history. So yeah, the baseball strike really ruined things for baseball. Heck, a lot of people said that the home runs, like Sosa and McGuire, were hit. Were not just because of steroids, but because baseball had dibbled the baseball or something like that. Because they wanted home runs to get the fans back in the stands. Basically, it's a way of trying to get their fan base back after the strike of 94. Smooth move, silly. Smooth move. Fuck you. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.